Today, on this episode, where we're talking about a series where a lot of properties do not go through completion after they've won it in auction. We've had a quick overview previously. Now, I want to do a deeper version. Today, importantly, we will be talking about the legal traps. This is what some people will never see coming. And yes, some people have taken the time to review the auction pack as we always advise, but there's still a lot of things that you might not be aware. And sometimes some of these things looks like one liner, or it might be deeper and bigger issues. So let's just go ahead. Most auction buyers don't lose money because they overbid. Yes, maybe sometimes they would come back on that. They lose money because one sentence buried in a legal pack, a sentence they didn't understand, a sentence they didn't even see. In my book, Auction Demystified, Unlocking Auction Success, I said the legal pack is where the auction wins or where the buyers bleeds. I emphasize again, the legal pack is where the auction wins or where the buyer bleeds. So you can choose what side you want to be on. If you want to win, make sure you have thoroughly understood the legal pack. If not, this could bleed you more than you have planned for. So that's the important thing. Today, I'll be exposing the biggest traps that I've seen on different cases, on different projects, on different auction properties that you might not be aware of. That a lot of buyers will lose their deposit, will lose deposits, will lose their deposits, will lose the properties, but more importantly, they will lose their sleep. And you don't want that to be. Investing in property is stressful enough. Investing in auction, it's a higher level of stress. Investing in auction that has legal traps, it's overwhelming, and you don't want to find yourself in that situation. So let's come close up. You might have seen this before. You see, imagine this for yourself. You have won an auction. You're excited about it. You've done your calculation. This is something you've won. You're already planning the reform. You're already doing your calculation. You're already bringing the workers. And then you got a call from your solicitors. And they're saying, we found something in the legal pack. Straight away, you feel, this doesn't sound good. Your hands are shaking. You realize you have exchanged and you can't back out. And this is where the reality sets in. Because it's an auction, you can't back out again. And this is the emotional side of auctions nobody talk about. You see auction house, you see house under the hammer. What you don't see is the emotional part of getting into the traps of a legal pack. So there are maybe about 10 legal pack situations I'm going to talk about. So we're going to take each of them and see how you can save yourself beforehand. Like I said previously, mainly you win the auction race in the auction pack, in the auction legal pack, or you choose to bleed if you do not follow through or not understand the auction pack. So this one seems popular, it seems common. Restrictive covenants. These are rules that tell you what you can do with the property. So they are restrictive. They're already a covenant that's already placed on the property. You can do extensions, no business use, no development, sometimes no parking. Buyers only discover them after the hammer. By then, it's too late. So don't forget, these traps could be a killer to your deal. That's the first one, restrictive covenant. Second one, we'll talk about the missing rights of access. I did a video recently talking about a landlocked property. For a missing right of access, you would be shocked how many auction properties don't legally have the right to access the land you are buying. You see a fantastic land, a parcel of land, but the access to that right is not included in the property or is not included in the title or the legal pack. Imagine owning a house you can't legally walk to. That is crazy, right? You've got a land, but you can walk to. It happens and people don't realize this. I think recently in one of the auction, I was doing a review. Just to let you know, we do review on auction lots. So if you have any auction lots that you would like to review, please drop the auction lot and the auction house on the DM, on the comments, and we would help you to just give you our initial thoughts on that. So we did one recently on a property that was in Clive Empton, just this June that passed. It's a land potential development, but it is locked because you don't have an access route. So that's the second one. The third one, major legal traps that people are not aware of, is the overage clauses. This is a trap that destroys developers. You had value and the seller takes a cut. That's something people don't prepare for. It could be 10%, it could be 20%. So you're buying a land, there's already a restriction, there's already something that's already been worked in that you're going to pay a percentage of your profit to them. So in simple terms, with an overage, it means that you have spent time or money to add value to a property, but the buyer, the original seller, will still have a percentage of that profit. That's a clause that you possibly are not aware of. So overage means seller still owns part of your profit. The next one, the fourth one I want to talk about, part of the big traps to look out for in auction legal pack, is the short leases. This in itself is not a problem, but you need to be prepared for the consequences. It's maybe a 49-year lease. Most lenders would not lend on them, will not touch them. So it's a ticking time bomb. They are bridging finance that would support that, but sometimes it's cash only. So, which is for certain type of people, depending on how you want to invest. This could mean that you obviously expensive bridging, or you have to think about your exit. Sometimes this is a fantastic investment, fantastic outcome you can derive, but you have to be aware there's a cost to finance the project initially, and also to exit, in terms of making sure that you can rectify the lease situation. And if there are other issues that you're not aware of that makes it impossible to get a lease extension, that's a different, completely bigger problem. So let's move on to number 5. Just before I get on to number 5, while we are here, if you've not signed up for, if you've not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. It's Auction360 on YouTube and across LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and we'll be dropping wonderful insights on auction and helping you to make sure that you don't lose your deposit, but more importantly, to make sure that the investment works for you. So number 5, unregistered land. This is where the deals die completely. There's no title plan. There's no clarity. It means that no guarantee the seller even owns the property they are selling. This comes in once in a while, but you want to make sure that, it's a big risk, because they might not just own the property they are selling. So unregistered means unknown ownership. So just be very careful on that. Number 6 is undisclosed fees. Most times this happens, special conditions, you get some fees put in that people are not aware of. Some sellers hide fees in the special condition. This is part of their strategy. Buyers don't see them until the completion date. That's why it's important to make sure that you read your special conditions, and also on the day you read the addendum. Very important things and very basic. It means that hidden fees could cost you guaranteed pains. These are things that you've not planned for. These are things you've not projected for. So let's go to number 7. Number 7 is boundary disputes. And this happens a lot. And this is something you want to be mindful of. You think you're buying a garden. Maybe you bought a property and you think the garden is part of it and stuff. But it turns out that it belongs to a neighbor. It turns out that it belongs to somebody else. It turns out that they have a right of way over your land or over your garden. So, or it could mean that it's being owned by the council, or nobody knows who the owner is. Recently did something, a pub in Kettering, and we're having this issue about the boundaries. So it's something that happened. Although the property was not bought in auction, but these are things that happen generally. So you have to be aware. And this is why it's important that you make sure that your legal pack is taken care of properly. Boundary issues mean endless headache. Number 8 is chancery repair liability. Unbelievable. Still in 2026, you can still be forced to pay for church repairs and other repairs, and it becomes enforceable. So be aware of those things. These are things that is locked into the contract. Number 9, I'd like to talk about, in relation to big traps that you might not be aware of, is the flying freeholds. This is part of your property sits over someone else's land or someone else's property. So you see some places where you are going in between the house to get into your property. Lenders hate it, solicitors hate it, and you would hate it too, because it's just not defined. There's just so much in between. So flying freehold, it's a mortgage chaos, and you want to avoid that. Number 10. Last one, but I believe there's a lot more, but just to touch on 10 quick ones, is the overage triggered by planning applications. This is some overage clauses trigger the moment you apply for planning. So this is something you're not aware of. So not when you build, meaning you own money before you even get started. That's something you have to be aware of. This is not to do with Section 107 or low cost building and stuff. This is just something different. So it's instant payment that is triggered by the planning application. So we've talked about 10 things, and just to bring this home, these drafts don't just cost money. They cost you your confidence. They cost you your sleep. They cost you your relationship. I've even seen buyers break down in tears because they didn't understand one line in a 200-page legal pack. We're not asking you to understand this, because 200, it's hard for anybody that is not trained to actually understand what's going on. So how do you protect yourself? Make sure that you're doing your legal review, and make sure you risk score everything. Any additional risk, it's something that you need to factor for. And please subscribe to our channel. We'll share much more information about auction. If you are planning to go for auction, please check in with us, and we will give you our honest opinion. We'll help you to get the finance sorted and ensure that you have the best outcome in your auction.